You're gonna figure it out in your dreams. Good night, Owen Theo.
Hi, guys. We're back. If you hear some construction, that's because there is some. Let me explain what's happening in my life. So I get back from Toronto. I'm back in my crib. I'm literally a baby in my crib. I get canceled for that for some reason. I'm talking about babies. Baby's back. I'm so baby girl coded. That's me being a pick me. Okay. You know who actually is baby girl coded? Harry Styles. Is that a thing? People know that, right? Okay. So I'm back finally from Toronto and LA is freezing. What? Why is LA literally a tundra? I'm like, I need my Canada Goose. Shout out Canada Goose. I've owned one Canada Goose since I was a freshman in college. I dropped out 2 weeks after I became a freshman in college. I went to NYU for one day. You guys know this about me. I went to NYU for one day and I bought a Canada Goose for so much money. And I shouldn't be saying this, but sorry, it's true. And then embarrassingly enough, I still am wearing that Canada Goose because I can't afford another. Actually, that's not embarrassing. Where was I? I'm back. Oh my God, that was stunning. That was Mariah Carey. Oh my God. Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm Queen of Christmas all of a sudden. Wait, Christmas is coming. How do you feel? Don't talk to me. This is a podcast. I speak, not you. So I'm back. I land in LA and I'm like, oh my God, LA. LA in my head is like Hawaii. I'm like, I'm gonna land. I'm gonna put my feet in the sand. I'm gonna dive into the ocean. LA, the warmth. I've grown up here. I feel this way about LA. Sorry, I do. Here's the deal. I'm very cold and I land in my apartment and I go to turn the heat on. I've never done this ever, but okay, LA's a tundra, so I have to. I go to turn the heat on. My heaters don't work. So if you're hearing construction outside, that's because my sweet handyman who is up all night. Well, no, I woke him. He's here helping me fix the heaters. So kind. I'm loving him. Ruben, shout out. He comes. He joins me in the podcast. Okay. Ruben is gay and has a husband. To have a gay handyman, it's a dream. You guys, I want to talk to you about a few things. One, I feel so much better that I'm back with Lindsay and Mary Kate and Sabrina and all my girls and Taylor and Emma. I'm just like, thank God I'm back. I was weird before. I was straight. Watch my last episode and you'll see that I was straight. Some things I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about my college experience. I want to talk to you about what it was like pre-Jared. Maybe this episode will be called Pre-Jared. Do you guys know who Jared is? Jared's my boyfriend. If you don't know who Jared is, let's say this is your first episode and you're tuning in. I'm so sorry. Watch any others. They're better than this. If this is your 15th episode, I think that's how many I've done. Crazy. If this is your 15th episode, you know who Jared is. And if you don't, then you've really been tuning me out. And you probably have me in your ears while you're like on a treadmill or something and you're trying to pass the time. Let me tell you something. If you listen to me while you're at Equinox or at Blink, I'm not helping the workout go any faster. I'm actually probably hurting and making it go slower and it's becoming more painful with each Stairmaster step. Becomes slower and slower and more painful with my grating voice. Okay. I want to talk to you about my college experience. So I had a boyfriend named Do you guys know who is? I talked about him on Call Her Daddy. He was my boyfriend for 2 years, 16 to 18. I should bleep his name because now I'm about to talk shit about him. But we're fine now. Imagine this. Imagine having a horrible breakup and then being fine. That's what happened to me. So and I went to high school together. He went to a different college than I. And the first 2 weeks of college, he came to visit me. We went out to dinner. I looked at him and he looked at me and I was like, we're going to do this. We are going to do long distance. Take my hand. And he took my hand and he squeezed it and he looked at me and he said, yes, we are breaking up. I said, what? I said, I just was professing my love to you, saying that this is going to be fine and we're going to get married and we're going to have kids. And he was like, yes. And I hear that. And I went in one ear and out the other because I've decided we're breaking up. And I was like, oh, well, you can't break up with me at this bad Italian restaurant. That's not how I ever have seen myself being broken up with. So I would like to be broken up with anywhere else, literally anywhere else. And he said, okay, that's actually very fair. By the way, toxic of me. Okay, so toxic. You can't break up with me here. You have to break up with me at a yogurt land. That's what I've seen. No, I was like, I need to be in the comfort of my own home to like talk about things. He was like, valid, let's do it. By the way, I downed my pasta as fast as I could. I was nauseous eating it, but I was starving ultimately. I downed my pasta. We go back to my dorm. We're sitting in my dorm, we're talking. And he looks at me and he's like, what? What am I doing? Why am I breaking up with you? You're wonderful. I'm in love with you. We need to stay together. I'm like, what? Of course, this is great. That's the first red flag. I should have known that somebody who just tried to break up with me probably isn't the person for me. But I was like, oh my God, I knew you'd flip it around. I knew you'd come around to me. Meanwhile, like marinara's on my face. I was like, okay, thank you so much. I love you. We can work through anything. Do you have issues with me? He was like, no, it's just the distance. I was like, we can work through it. He was like, we can work through it. We have sex. This is where it gets a little graphic, but I'll say it. We have sex, and after he finishes, you know what finishes means, right? Okay. After he finishes on my face, I'm looking up at, this is so graphic. Sorry. I'm looking up at him and he's looking down at me and he says, I hate you. We can't do this. I'm done. We have to break up. And I was like, now. So meanwhile, in my head, I was like, Owen, ask again for a redo. Just be like, hey, I never thought I'd be broken up with cum on my face. Can we redo this? I kind of always saw me getting broken up while in bed, lying down, watching an episode of That's So Raven, having to turn off That's So Raven. That's actually the saddest part of the story, having to turn off an episode you love, getting broken up with. But I didn't say that. I was just like, cum was on my face and I was like, okay. And he pulled his pants up and he ran and he went into the hallway. And he pressed the down elevator. I was on floor 6 and he pressed the down elevator. And I was like, I could hear the ding. And I was like, fuck. And I was like rubbing the cum off and I was trying to pull my pants up and I was like, he's breaking up with me. So then I ran to the hallway and the doors shut. It's literally a movie. It's When Harry Met Sally. I've never seen that movie, but is it something like this? Not at all. Maybe it's more like You've Got Mail. Okay, 2 movies I've never seen. Elevator's door closed. I see a little sliver of his face. I'm pressing the down elevator. He is pressing the elevator door closed. The doors are closing. I'm like, fuck. I'm literally in a towel, you guys, with cum on my face. I'm running down the stairs as fast as I possibly can. I'm out of breath. I've not worked out. I forgot to mention, I was a SoulCycle king at this time. You guys, I was asked to be a SoulCycle instructor. Did I tell you that already? I was literally asked to be a SoulCycle instructor. I was everything a SoulCycle instructor should be. I was loud. I was annoying. I was probably not even that good at soul, but I had the vibes to back it up. Okay, going back to the story because I know you guys are involved. I'm running down the stairs. I'm on floor 4. I'm out of breath at this point because looping back to the SoulCycle, I've not done it in a few weeks because I'm starting college. I don't need to go to SoulCycle. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm out of breath. I'm like, fuck, I should have tapped it back more when I could have. I sprint out the door and I see him through the double doors, leaving the dorm and hailing a cab. And I see a cab pull up and I'm sprinting as fast as I can. Cum is flying onto just people eating their dinners. And they're probably like, what the hell is that? I'm like, eat it, it's protein. Anyways, the door shuts, the taxi door shuts and he zooms off and I call him twice and I'm blocked. Reliving that, retelling that is triggering. And I wouldn't be here today. No, I'm joking. So yeah, imagine that. Has that ever happened to you? No, probably something worse has happened to you because that's not that bad in the grand scheme of things, but it was pretty traumatic and I felt like Carrie Bradshaw, except even Carrie Bradshaw hasn't been cummed on and dumped. I was a cum dump. Anyways, I'm in this depression. I'm in this most depressive era of my life. And I didn't think I got depressed. In my head at that point, I was like, Owen, you only have anxiety. You don't have depression. Well, depression fucking hit. I'm sitting there in my dorm, like with 50 boxes of Joe's pizza around me and Cool Whip. I was super depressed sitting in bed. Oh my God, I've never felt like this. The love of my life, I was 18, the love of my life has just broken up with me and I will never find anyone better. I was like, you know what? I should probably turn to women. I was like, this is just not, I'm never gonna find someone. And I visit my friend at BU. I decided to visit my friend at BU, and because I'm like, you know what? I need a change of scenery. I was like, New York is so loud and there's so much going on. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Usually people who get broken up with go to big cities to try to forget. But I was in a big city and I needed to go a little smaller, scale it down, connect with the people on the street, not be brushed past and forgotten. So I went to Boston and I went to BU and I visited my friend, and there was she had just become friends. This was like 3 weeks into college. She had just become friends with this guy named, let's bleep his name, or let's not. Let's keep it spicy. No, let's bleep his name. Was gay. What? There's more gay people than just me? That's a crazy thought. Was gay and was hot. I was down. But I was in a depressive episode. My boyfriend, the love of my life, had just broken up with me. My best friend looked at me and said, Owen, trust me, it's just sex. The last time you had sex, you were a cum dump. So now at this point, have sex, have a little have a romantic moment, have a romantic time. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. You're right. I decide that my eyes are set on it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going for fucking. And we go out to dinner that night, me, my best friend, and some other friends. It's like a big dinner party. And my friend is like, sit next to. So I sit next to. We're hitting it off. It's a great evening. It's the best. And I can tell he's like, you know what? I don't think he's attracted to me, but I think he's ultimately like, he's making me laugh. He has a good vibe. It's kind of like Soul Cycle. It's kind of like the Soul Cycle instructors. It's like, I'm probably not the best in the class, but the vibes are right. He's like, I'll ride this wave. So we don't have sex that night. It's just a dinner. We decide to both go back to our separate rooms. I go to my best friend's room, but I'm like talking about him. I have a little crush on him. The next day, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have sex with him. And I'm like, fuck my life. I need to get waxed. I decide to go to this place to get my asshole waxed. Sorry, Dad. Dad listens to this and goes, you wax your asshole? Yeah. And you should too. Ew. Oh, I can't believe I just told my dad to wax his asshole. I know it's hair. Oh, every time I think more about it, I get nauseous. Okay. So I go to this place to wax. I decide, the woman goes, you know what? I think it's best if you laser. I was like, really? She's like, yeah, best if you laser. I was like, okay. So I'm black. Do you guys know that? Something that you guys should learn if you don't. I'm black. And for those just on audio, I'm African American. So she uses this kind of laser that I think is only good for whiter skin because it burns. It basically burns a layer of skin off of my asshole. So now my asshole is hairless, thank God, but it's also bleeding. It's the skin is off and I'm feeling definitely raw. Let's just say that. It's raw down there. So I'm like, okay, maybe it'll heal by then. I'm like walking down the street. I'm like, ow. I'm thinking about, I'm like, you know what? I'll figure it out. So when I go out that night with all of us, we go to a club in Boston. It's beautiful. It's not. It's like absolutely hideous, but we make out on the dance floor. What? We had a make out. We had a dance floor make out. Those are hot. Sorry. Can we go back to can we have those again? Why don't we have dance floor makeouts anymore? Who decided to stop that? I think that ended in college during prom era. You know what I mean? Or even bar and bat mitzvahs. No, I had dance floor makeouts after that. But I'm trying to go to a bar and have a dance floor makeout. Well, I'm in a relationship monogamous, so maybe not. Jared, can I have a pass? But then it's do you have STD? I'm nervous about herpes. Everyone has herpes. Did you know that? I'm really scatterbrained. Can you tell? So that night we're we're gonna have sex. We know it. We go back to his room and we look at each other and he gives me a condom and I go, fucking hot. And I go to undo it and put it on him. And he's like, what? Put it on you. And I'm like, what? Wait, and then I clicked. I was like, oh my God, we're both bottoms. And I've just lasered my asshole and my skin will no longer be the same down there because I didn't ask what he was into. We just had, I was like, I'm so bad at being gay. I was like, oh my God, it was an awakening for me. Beautiful awakening. So anyways, I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that. He was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And I was like, thank God, because it's so raw down there. He was like, what? I was like, never mind. And we ended up just eating pizza and talking and having a really nice time. And I realized that two gay men could be friends and you didn't have to always fuck them. So that's a beautiful story that I think should go in a museum somewhere. Maybe not, because we tried to have sex. Anyways, it was very interesting with that night. And I send my love to him. I've not talked to him since that night. And I do want to apologize, actually, for nothing, because I got lasered for him, even though he was a bottom. So then I met Jared, who obviously I knew immediately I would fall in love with him, but I didn't want to tell him that. I met Jared, and our third date, he invited me over to his apartment. And I walk in, and we sit down, and we have a meal, and it's lovely, and we're gabbing, and we're talking, and we're just like the chemistry, you guys, like you could have cut the tension with a fucking knife. It was palpable. It was gorgeous and palpable. And I was like, with every thought, I was falling deeper and deeper in love with him. And then he said to me, he goes, should we go into the bedroom? And I was like, holy shit, I'm about to have sex with Jared. So we go into the bedroom, and I look around and I go, where are your bed? Where's your bed? And he's like, what? It's right there. And he points at bunk beds that he shared with his roommate. And I go, please tell me, please, I'm 6'4", I'm heavy. I'm like, please tell me he's like, top bunk? Yeah. I'm like, no, please no. I couldn't. I'm like, can't we use the bottom? He's like, no, we can't have sex on my roommate's bed. I'm like, oh my, yeah, no, that's fine. He climbs up this tiny little, did you guys know that Jared's like tiny? He's like a little elf. He's like 5'2". Okay, that's mean. Jared, you're 5'8". On a good day. When you're lying about your height, you're 5'8", baby. Is on the top bunk, and he's like, come on up. I'm like, oh, I'm Santa. He's an elf. You get what I'm saying? I'm like, we're crashing through this fucking bunk bed. So I get up. I'm sitting on the edge of the bed. My legs are shaking. I'm like, I can't do it. No, I can't do it. I cannot do it. I'm like, can we have sex anywhere else on the couch? He's like, no. That's no, we can't do that. I'm like, okay, well, then it's looking like we will just do some hand stuff. Standing up. It was romantic until it wasn't, because when you're standing for that long and trying to be sexual, it gets very tiresome when your knees give out. So we didn't really do anything that night. The next night, he came over to my apartment. I had a bed, thank God, for us to be in. And Adele was my favorite artist at the time. You guys, circling back, I was so obsessed with Adele, still am. She's my everything. But my car in high school, I named Adele. It was a Tiguan. I was like, get into Adele. Get inside Adele. I wanted to be her. I was like, I want to be you. I want to be you. I want to be your baby. I want to be your husband. I want to be your wife. I want to be everything ever. I'm obsessed with you, Adele. I love you. 25 was just coming out. So I was like, looked at Jared, and Jared looked at me, and I said, 25 comes out at midnight. I'm just warning you. I was like, we either have to kind of have sex before or after, because I need to be present for 25. He was like, totally. We're eating dinner. I'm looking at the time. I'm like, it's 11. I'm like, better hurry up. I'm like, Jared's like, well, Owen, stop rushing it. Like, well, it'll come when it comes, literally. Okay, we start making out. We get into the bed. I look at the time. It's 11:57. I go, pause. We need to pause. I flip over my phone. I play 25. I'm like listening. He's trying to kiss my neck. I'm like, hey, baby, River Leah's playing. I'm like, I got to listen to this. I'm like, Water Under the Bridge we're diving into Water Under the Bridge. I'm trying to look on Genius for lyrics. I'm like, holy shit. Oh my God, she's talking about her ex, Simon. Oh my God, she's talking about her baby. I'm like, this is gorgeous. I'm like literally diving in, okay? Cut to, Jared has entered me, and the song that is playing is All I Ask, okay? Very slow, very sad. I'm now crying because the song is so beautiful. Tears are rolling down my face. Jared looks at me. This is a true story. Looks at me and is like, are you okay? And I didn't want to say I'm so obsessed with Adele. He knew this, but I didn't want to be like, I'm sobbing over Adele while we're having sex. I was like trying to play it cool. This is like one of the first times. So I looked at him and I said, I've never felt this way about anyone, which is probably true. But I'm like, oh, this guy's gonna think you're a psychopath. You're sobbing. Adele's playing in the background. And you're saying you've never felt this way about anyone 4 dates in. I'm like, this man's gonna think I'm a psychopath. Jared looks at me and goes, Owen, I feel the same way. I'm like, oh shit, I've roped myself into something very, very bad. 10 years later, we're still together. Probably because of that night when I blatantly lied to him about falling in love with him when I actually was, but I didn't want to tell him that. And the rest is history. I want to tell you guys something that has nothing to do with Jared. I'm just doing a little fast, what's it called? Intermission, a Jared intermission, a sex intermission, to tell you guys something horrible that happened to me that I think I've been so afraid of for years. This is 2 months ago. I'm on my way to Toronto and the man next to me, I'm like, I knew it's going to be a bad day. I knew it was going to be a bad day when my seat partner was taking videos of the sky and making it like a time-lapse video. He like had his phone up for the entire flight. And I was like, oh my God, you're going to make this 20 seconds and post it on Instagram in a dump. I was like, oh no, what a horrible thing. If you guys make a time-lapse video of the sky, like block my number and don't watch the pod. Anyways, I got to my hotel, gorgeous hotel, loving it. I'm like, wow, I'm looking around. I'm like, you know what? This day has turned around. I go upstairs, tap my card, go in, take my clothes off. You know, I've been on a plane, so take my clothes off, hop in the shower, put a towel on. I'm like, I have to lie down. I'm exhausted. I walk into the bedroom, sit on the bed for a second. Then I'm like, oh, okay. Go like this with the covers to, you know, get under the covers. And someone is laying in the bed. To my surprise, someone is laying in the bed. And he looks at me, he goes, and I look at him and and we both have the scream. By the way, at that point, I'm like, oh, I'm a dead man. Like, he's going to think that I just like came in to steal. You know what I mean? Like, he's screaming, I'm screaming. He's like, get the fuck out. I'm like, you get out. He's like, this is my hotel room. I'm like looking around. I'm like, it is your hotel room. You were unpacked. Ultimately, you've been here for days. I'm like, there's room service. I'm like, this is fully your hotel room. I'm like, I'm so sorry. We both are screaming at the top of our lungs. I go downstairs. I'm in a towel. I'm always in a towel, like going places. This is interesting. I go downstairs. I talk to the receptionist. I'm like, please, there's someone upstairs. Please, sir, this is horrible. I just went into someone else's room. You gave me the wrong key. And the hotel receptionist looks at me and goes, sorry about that, Mr. Thiel. We will get you another room soon. I'm like, what? I just broke and entered someone. Like, you need to have higher stakes. The man comes downstairs, sweatpants on. He's like, we're both screaming at the guy. The guy's like, sorry about that, Mr. Carroll. We'll get you a new room soon. He is so low energy to the point where I'm like, okay, my biggest fear just happened. I think that's my biggest fear is walking into a room that somebody else is in and you don't know that they're in there. Like, for instance, like you see it happen like in movies and it like seems funny, but it's not. Like when you walk in and your parents are having sex, you know what I mean? Like that's my biggest fear is like walking into a room that you're not supposed to be in, but somehow you've ended up there. Like that is horrible. Anyways, guess what? Of course, classic Owen. I become friends with the guy. We go to lunch. No, we didn't end up going to lunch, but he was a lovely, and I have his number, and we're totally fine now, and we've made it through. We've definitely made it through. He actually asked if I wanted to come sit on his couch while the other room was being cleaned. To which I said no. I didn't know him, and I thought maybe that would be strange, even though we both were technically in bed together almost. But I said no. But anyways, that is my biggest fear come true. Okay, so sorry. That was an intermission, little fun intermission. So pre-Jared, going back, I became friends with this guy named was from Spain. That's his real name. So let's maybe bleep that, Cooper, because I don't need him suing me. He was from Spain. He was hot. We met in the elevator of NYU. I was like so down for him. This is post the depressive episode, but pre-meeting Jared, okay? So set the tone. We're in the NYU dorms, absolutely hideous with a stench, a strange stench. I meet in the elevator. We hit it off. I go, come to my room. Cut to, we are hooking up. What? I'm in a rom-com. Okay, I'm hooking up with someone from Spain who can't even pronounce my name. I'm like, this is hot as fuck. We have sex. He sleeps over. The next morning, he looks at me. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to be gone. We're in a twin bed, by the way. He looks at me and he's like, that was so much fun. Go to class. I had class. He's like, I'm going to wait for you. I'm going to wait in this room for you. I'm like, of course. That's great. I go to class. I'm daydreaming the whole class. I'm like scribbling. I don't know how to spell it. I'm also dyslexic. So I'm spelling it completely wrong. I'm spelling ultimately gorgonzola. Oh my God. During sex, I called him gorgonzola. That's another thing. I didn't actually say it, but I was like, I couldn't remember his name because he had said it one time in the elevator at this point when we were making out. So then I was like, Gorgons. What's his name? I had that moment. Anyways, I was scribbling, didn't know how to spell it. I was daydreaming. I felt like Carrie Bradshaw yet again in the city, daydreaming about this man. And then I go home and obviously he's gone. He had not waited for me. And he also didn't leave his number, and we had just met in the elevator. So what do you do at this point? Like that's like more than a ghost. He didn't just ghost me, because a ghost is like you have his number and he's deciding not to answer. He like literally ghosted me. Like he's literally like gone, like Glinda. You guys, I know I talked about Wicked in my last episode, but just like dive in, hold space for that. He's gone. I don't know what to do. I'm now feeling depressed again because I'm like, wait, we could have had something gorgeous, gorgonzola. And he's never to be seen again. Literally never to be seen. I asked the people at the front desk, I'm like, hey, I know this is weird. My friend is not answering his phone. What's his room number? And they're like, we can't share that information. I'm like, totally. I don't see him the entire rest of NYU until my friend is moving out and I'm helping her move out. And I'm taking all her boxes down and I'm a sweaty mess and I'm disgusting and I run into and he chooses to completely ignore me in a way that I was like, wait, I know you. I know you have coarse pubes. Like I know you have curly pubes. Like I'm like, come on. Like I know things about you that like, come on. You know what I mean? I'm like, I know what you say during sex. You can't ghost me like this. You can't pretend like nothing has ever happened. But he did. And it was really, really, really shocking. Meanwhile, this is post Adele Jared sex. So I was kind of in Jared land. So I didn't really care. But looking back on that, I'm like, the fuck's wrong with you, dude? I hate the idea of ghosting someone. I think it's despicable and disgusting. And yet I think if you're going to do it my way. Are you ready? If you're going to ghost someone, do Owen the friendly ghost. That's what I call this method. It's kind of like Casper. What does Casper look like? I've always wanted to know what Casper looked like. Casper. Let's look up what Casper looks like. Hey Siri, what does Casper the friendly ghost look like? He looks like a sperm. Is that the point? Okay. Anyways, this is what you do. You apologize. You say, I'm so sorry. I haven't answered you. So you don't just ghost. You have to ghost for 5 days and then send this message and then you're free. Ready? You go, I'm so sorry I haven't answered you. And then that's the first step A. That's A, okay? Step B is because I blatant lie. Because I got stuck in Hungary and my plane had an emergency landing in Hungary and I'm without food. Something insane. Obviously don't make it like that, but be like, I can't wait to get a drink or hang out when I'm feeling healthier or when I'm back from Hungary, okay? I promise you they will not check in again because they go, one, you apologized, you acknowledged. Two, something traumatic has happened to you. Three, you've told them you would reach out when you can. So they're not going to be like, hey, back from Hungary. They might send you a hope you're well text in 5 weeks, which by the way, that's totally fine to ghost. I ghost those all the time. My mom always texts me, hope you're well, because she knows how mentally ill I am. And by the way, I don't answer. That's fine. Anyways, that's my method of ghosting. And I think it works if you're going to. I hate ghosting. I think it's like despicable. I think just like have an honest conversation with someone. But sometimes you can't. And if you can't, and this person is crazy or you really, really, really want out of it, either don't get their number, a la have sex with them and then disappear, or without a trace, or do my Owie the friendly ghost. Be as friendly as you can with a blatant lie embedded in it. that isn't traceable. It can't be traceable. Like Hungary's traceable. They could look up Hungary flight. Like that would make the news. But anyways, do you get what I'm saying? This is Owie the Friendly Ghost. Take it with pride. So you guys, there's one more story that I'll be talking to you about pre-Jared, pre-cum dump. That's what this episode's going to be called. Okay. There's one more thing one more little story. The 2 weeks at NYU that I was there, you guys, it was more like 2 months, but I say 2 weeks. I hooked up with my TA, my teacher's assistant. I don't know what happened to me. I became a slut for 2 months. And then now ever since I've been in a monogamous relationship for 10 years, like what the hell? I fell in love with my teacher's assistant, like madly in love. I went into his office hours, not thinking nothing would ever come of it. And we then hit it off. We went to drinks. It was lovely. We made out on the street. Okay, what happened with street makeouts? That ended in Sex in the City? Like, let's bring those back. Bring back dancing, bring back dance floor makeouts, bring back street makeouts, bring back any makeouts, bring back makeouts. Why is everything sex? I want to make out. Anyways, I became infatuated with my teacher's assistant and ended up calling it off. I was like, this is not right. He was so smart and I was lying about reading the material. He was like asking me, he was my history TA and he was like talking to me about history. And at first I was like completely buying into it and lying about it. I was like, obviously the Roman Empire, ugh. It's crazy what they did during that time. So I was done lying about this bullshit. I didn't want to lie anymore about this fucking like me loving history. I was like, no. So I was like, let's call this off. Well, I decided to call it off 2 days before our big test. I didn't have the foresight that I would drop out at this point. So I was having a mental breakdown. I was like, this man grades our tests. And by the way, it was essays. It was, you walk in, you do essays, 4 different question essays. It's subjective. Sure, certain things that you mention are objective, but like the essay itself is subjective. So I'm like, this guy's going to obviously fail me. And he did. I got a really, really bad score. Now, was that because I didn't know the material? Sure. But did I tell my parents it was because he was spiteful and hated me? Yes. Now they know that it was that. So I just want to apologize to them. This is like the apology tour. I'm on an apology tour at this point. What else do I have to tell you pre-Jared? I really am a hopeless romantic. Like every time I would go into a coffee shop, I would be like, I have to write this person a note on the napkin. I have to slip it to him. I've never felt this way about anyone. I'm looking at this random man. I'm like, I'm telling you, there's a spark between us. He, by the way, doesn't know I exist. And if he does, he's like, why does that man smell? I'm like, yeah, I just went to a yoga class. I'm like, did Pilates hot. I'm a severe hopeless romantic. And I'm very lucky I have Jared, who is also a romantic because he fulfills me in that way. And it's very sweet. And he sends me flowers. And that's Jared in a nutshell. You guys, there's nothing really else to say other than because I'm in a monogamous relationship, the only thing we could do is have threesomes. And you guys know about my infamous threesome story when I left to go do my skincare routine because I got bored during it, which is very valid. And by the way, I had a lot of comments, very sweet DMs, thank you, in solidarity. A lot of people felt the same way as me. They get bored during activities like that. I do too. It's too much stimulation and I'm not stimulation sexually. Like there's too much going on. I'm ADD and I'm like, I can't focus. I need something relaxing, like a sheet mask. Like too many dicks. I need a sheet mask. Me during an orgy. Anyways, I feel very lucky to have Jared. And also this episode has kind of actually shed some light on the fact that I loved also being single. And that was very fun. This episode is me. This is a therapy session. It's me grappling with being with someone for 10 years, which by the way, is valid. That's a valid thought to be like, whoa, what a beautiful thing to be in a long-term relationship and like look at somebody on the street and be like, ooh, what would you be like naked? One time I thought my Uber Eats driver was so hot and I was so obsessed with him and I could see in the picture he was hot. So I was like, oh my God, I like got nervous. I got dressed up. I got whatever. You know how it says like leave at door or hand off? And it was, I just always say leave at door because I never want to hand off, but I really wanted to change it to hand off. So I messaged him on the app being like, hey, there's so many robbers in this area. So many robbers in this area. Please make sure to hand off to me. And he was like clearly weirded out, but he was like, KK. I was like, okay. He gets out of his car as fast as humanly possible. He's looking around. He hands to me. He's like, he gets back into his car. He speeds off. I'm like, fuck. I shouldn't have said robbers in the area. He's like obviously afraid that someone has a gun around here and is going to rob him. Damn it. So then I did something weird. With my Chipotle, I got into my car and followed him. True story. I followed him back to where I think was his house, but also I don't know. He could have just been going to another house dropping off a present. I mean, an Uber Eats package. And now that I'm realizing it, it probably wasn't his house. And I was now just stalking someone else, getting an Uber Eats package. Huh. If you want an Uber Eats driver to think you're hot and talk to you and make eye contact with you and like you, don't tell them that there's robbers in the area. Pro tip. Who knew? I'm really bad at being single. Maybe that's what this is called. I would be really bad at being single. Anyways, I have to go to bed, you guys. I love you guys. There's so much that I didn't tell you and I just kind of rambled and I'm so sorry. But I hope you guys enjoyed my weird stories. I don't even know what they meant. They didn't even have like real like meaning. But maybe that's the point of life, to be without meaning. Maybe we're all specks of dust waiting to find meaning. Would you guys watch my TED Talk if I did one? I heard a resounding no. I love you guys. I have to go to bed. I'm exhausted. This was the weirdest episode I've ever done in my life. I'm so sorry to all of you listening. And for those of you who didn't, you're lucky. Good night.
You're gonna figure it out in your dreams. Good night, Owen Theo.